Hello, this is Adam from Free Racing, and this is a video on how to change your jetting and tune a Mikuni carburetor. This particular one is the Mikuni VM30 Roundslide. Well, the slide's out right now, it's on the bike. I got these for my Suzuki GS500E, and I'm going to show you how to swap out the main jets, and if you need to, also the pilot jets. It's currently running a set of 160s, which is too big for the bike. It's throwing all sorts of black smoke. Plugs are black, it's too rich. So I got myself some 145 mains, which I'm going to try out and see how they do. And I just figured I'd make a video on how to swap them out. It's really quite simple. All the tools you need is a screwdriver, a 16mm, and a 6mm for the, not a 16, a 17, and a 6mm for jets. And I recommend using a 1/4 inch for the jets so you don't apply too much torque and accidentally strip them out. So to get to the main jets, it's easy. You don't need to take the ball off or anything, just the center right here. Just gotta loosen it. And there you go. Here's your main jet right there. Very visible. All you do is you take your 6mm on your socket. Make sure it's on loosening, of course. And then just loosen her up. You just kind of right here, and it comes out. You'd be aware that this part will come out too. This is the thing where the jet actually goes into. It's off right now because I don't have the slide in place, so you just gotta have to put it back on when you get on. And you can see I'm switching to a 145 if the camera will pick it up. The focus is very bad. Oh, I guess I just have to take my word for it. It's a 145 main. You simply just put it back in the hole, put a little tube back in, and screw it back down. I'll do that off camera to save you the hassle of me fumbling with it. Alright, the 145 main is installed. It was very easy to do. All you need to do is just, hard part was holding this thing in place while you're screwing it in. One thing I will warn about is this is only brass. The jet and the tube is only brass, so don't over tighten it because you can easily strip out the threads. And then you'll have a whole other situation on your hands. Ask me how I know. And then next you gotta get this little thing right here, little cover. Screw it into place. If it has a rubber ring on it, make sure the rubber ring is good. These are brand new, so then take your socket, 17mm, and tighten it down. Again, just like the jets, don't do it too tight, just make sure it's snug. And that's your main jet installed. Now let's say it's not your main jet, it's your chute, it's your idle. Well, there's two ways to go around that. You can either adjust your idle screw right here, which is a way to adjust airflow to idle. This screw does not adjust fuel, it adjusts airflow. If it's on the airbox side, you loosen it to lean, tighten it to richen, because it essentially is opening up a little secondary air passage. If it's on the engine side, you tighten it to lean, loosen to richen, since it'll be a fuel screw. So in this case, I need to lean out, so I need to loosen it. Usually go in increments of around 1/4 turns, and find where the engine idles the best, and where your plugs are reading the right color. You want right down that brownish color. You don't want it to be white, that means you're lean. You want it to be black, that means you're rich. Let's say you need to take your pilot jet out. Well, in that case, you're going to take the bowl off. So you're going to take out these 4 Phillips head screws, which you need a screwdriver for. And be careful with these screws, as it's way too common. These are really easy to strip out if you're not careful, especially if the bike was owned by someone else, because it feels like almost every bike you buy, the carb screws are cranked down a lot. These are brand new, so they're not too tight. So all you do is just loosen them up. Also be aware of any washers, make sure they stay on them and you don't lose them. I'll get the rest of these free out and I'll be right back. Alright, got all 4 of the screws out. And when taking the bowl off of this carburetor, you don't want to take it off upside down. You want to have the carburetor facing up like this. And take the bowl off right side up. Reason being, with this style of carb, your floats, you have 2 floats and they're inside the carb body. And if you face it upside down, your floats will just fall right out. So you want to make sure they don't fall out, because then you have to, especially if you're working around a workshop area, you have a lot of under table areas, so you don't lose one of them. Okay, now you have your inside of your carb exposed. Your idle jet hole is right there. You can see a little screw passage. You stick a flathead screwdriver in and unscrew it. Take your old idle jet out, put your new one in. I've already installed the idle jets about a couple days ago, so I won't have to do that. Just be aware, just like with the main jet, don't over tighten them. It is just brass and aluminum carb body. You can easily strip them out. And installing the bowl is the reverse of removing it. All you do is put the bowl on, tighten your 4 screws down, and you're good. So this is about it. Also, one thing is you have your idle adjustment, which adjusts your idle speed. Which if you have a multi-cylinder bike, you need to make sure to sync those so they're all running at sync. You can use a vacuum gauge to do that, or you probably could do it by looking at the slides. Though I would recommend a vacuum gauge to get the precise measurements. And for your mid-throttle adjustment, there's a needle attached to the throttle slide, which has a clip position so you can move up and down. What it essentially does is it blocks the passage, little brass thing in the middle right there for the main jet. It blocks that from opening onto a certain RPM range. With it lower down, it blocks it for a longer time, resulting in leaner mixture mid-throttle. If you raise it up, it does the opposite, richer mix for mid-throttle. You want to adjust that last because that will affect the other measurements. You want to get your main jet and your pilot jet, or main and idle circuits, done first, and then after that, fine-tune your mid-throttle adjustment. But that should be about it for carb tuning. Again, this is Mikuni VM30. It'll probably work on the other ones like the 27, 32 millimeters. Also, a couple of flat sides probably would be very similar to this. And that should be about it. This is Free Racing signing off. I'll see you next video.